Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons by people who love The Simpsons about how much we hate The Simpsons. We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever, and as always, my name is Dan.
My name is Jack.
And today we're going to be doing an episode from, what season is it from, Jack? Do you know off the top of your head? While
I would
look it
say
up
it's
quickly?
somewhere in the range of 1 to 100.
There you go. It is.
Yes, nailed it.
Nailed it. A more accurate answer would be season 19.
Another more accurate way.
Season 19, an episode called The Debarted. It originally aired March 2nd, 2008. Jack, have you seen this one?
Yes, I saw it once when it aired. I've also seen the movie it's based on.
Infernal Affairs, the Hong Kong
I saw that
action
too.
film. I've seen that, and of course, The Departed, which I saw in theaters 3 times. That is a record for most times
Really?
in the theater.
I saw it
that I've
twice.
seen a movie.
Tied with X-Men, which was the first movie I saw
Yeah,
twice.
yeah.
Kill Bill Volume 1 I saw 6 times. So that blew,
Wow.
yeah, that blew
Okay,
it all
I saw
away.
both Kill Bills twice.
And I saw Kill Bill 2 twice.
I've seen both Avengers twice. I've seen a lot of the Marvel movies twice.
I saw Age of Ultron twice, yeah.
But The Departed?
Is this how many times have we seen each movie podcast?
All right, guys, write in with a movie, and we'll say how many times you saw it in theaters.
Chances are it's probably
It's
1
either
or 0.
0, 1, or 2. Anyway, The Debarted, suggested by listener Rob Dilworth. So thank you, Rob. We actually remembered to thank you.
Robbie D.
Robbie D.
Robbie Pickles.
Hey, Robbie, write in. We finally got your suggestion.
Classic makes your suggestions departed.
Ooh, deep cut. We haven't done a Vlasic in a while.
Yeah, for good cause. It's,
for very good
it
reason.
does not belong in our post-classic Simpsons podcast.
You talk about a stork that sells pickles doesn't belong in a Simpsons podcast? I don't believe that for a second. So I haven't seen this episode. It's clearly based on the film The Departed. We will certainly talk about that. We have a guest who we're going to introduce later. But if you haven't seen the episode, you can do that on Simpsons World. That's simpsonsworld.com in the U.S. And wherever else you get your episodes if you're not in the U.S. And if you want to support the show, go to amazon.wepodcast.com. That'll take you right to Amazon. But through our links, whatever you buy, we get a small cut.
Yeah.
Helps keep the show free.
Also, support the show by just telling people, hey, you,
Open the window.
open the window.
Point to the first person you see.
Oh, I thought you were saying tell people to open the window.
Yeah.
Hey, you,
open the window.
Open the window.
It's hot in here. I'm trying to listen to a podcast.
That's it. That's all you. That's
all you
simple.
got to do.
It's
That
simple.
helps us out so
It's
much.
hot in here. I'm trying to listen to. Don't tell them what podcast.
Don't tell them, yeah.
The mystery is part of our allure.
We want people to just Google podcast and eventually find us.
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully you've done that, and that's why you're joining us today.
Welcome, new listeners.
Welcome, new listeners. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with The Departed.
Young man, brace yourself for some congratulations. We did it. You're in.
We finally have a man on the inside. We're gonna put Bart Simpson away for a long, long time.
By law, the most we can give him is a 10-day suspension.
Well, that's long to a kid.
So that was The Debarted.
It sure was Jack.
Not to be confused with The Departed.
Or the episode of Gossip Girl that was also called The Departed,
Which, sure.
but we learned about on Wikipedia 5 minutes before we started recording.
Or not to be confused with the other Departed, i.e. everybody who's ever died.
It's true. I was confused for a second. I was like, wait a minute. Are we watching everyone who's ever died?
Nope.
But we
it
weren't. It was an
wasn't.
episode of The Simpsons from season 19.
That's next week. We're saving that for episode 100.
Oh, boy.
Just watching the billions of souls who have come and gone and no longer exist because there is no God.
Anyway.
So, speaking of no God, let's introduce our guest. Frank Pasquine. How's it going, Frank?
It's going all right. I was just thinking it's interesting. I was just talking to you guys in normal tone, and I saw you switch into radio tone.
Oh, yeah.
Felt like that in Wayne's World when he's with Handsome Dan. In fact, and we got Dan
Hey!
here. You're kind of handsome.
Just regular-ish Dan.
You're sort of handsome.
I'll take sort of
Side- yeah.
handsome.
Yeah, you're breaking the fourth wall a bit, but our listeners don't know. When we're not recording, we just sound like regular guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
We just talk.
Actually,
I'm with
Jack-
two people.
Jack sounds like Billy Bob Thornton from Sling Blade. It's true. He just speaks into a radio voice app. And,
I'm trying to think of the line that he always says. Something I reckon, right? I'm literally right now. I'm grunting into this app, and
Right,
it's just
it's
converting.
converting.
I don't know how it
converts
knows.
to Handsome Dan from Wayne's World. That's actually the setting right now.
$1.99 on
the iTunes store. It was really worth it.
So, Frank, it's about time we've had you on. You're one of the earliest supporters of Wii Studios. You were giving us advice before we even bought the app and started grunting into our microphones.
Yeah.
What was my advice?
I don't remember.
You said don't use Jack's normal speaking voice.
Right.
I remember you
no
were-
Sling Blade.
Please don't do
voice.
this.
Well, I remember we went to Simpsons trivia at some barbecue place, not the one that Dan hosts, and that
Right,
was
a
you were
lesser
probably
trivia.
you were probably the first person me and Dan told we were doing a podcast. We were sitting at a bar.
Really? I have no
Yeah.
recollection.
Well, I remember because then Dan was our ringer, and we demolished
Oh, right, yes, I do.
Destroyed
Yeah,
every
because
other
I
team.
got
Lesser
maybe
trivia.
1 out of 50 questions right, and Dan
Yeah.
got all 50. I
And that
believe.
must
Yeah.
have been fun for you because that was like the first time you got to
It
play
was.
Simpsons trivia.
It had
And I
been a
got free
while.
drinks.
Yeah.
I do, oh, it's Dukes. It was Dukes.
Dukes.
It was
Yeah,
Dukes.
that's right.
If you need a Duke, just,
Oh, yeah, if you need a Duke.
that's an inside joke that only me and Frank will understand.
Perfect for this podcast.
And
Well,
that's
and
a good
some
one.
other guy. I don't remember
And so
his
that
name.
one guy, I
Don't
know his
mention him
name.
if
I'm
you
not going
do.
to say
Yeah,
it, but no, it's a good way to introduce Frank. Frank's one of my oldest friends from our film school days, and we're co-writers. We've written a lot of projects together. We've won some awards together. We've won a bunch of Amazon. We've lost a bunch of Amazon
Yeah,
awards
we've won
too.
some, we've lost some.
We won the LA Sports
Yep.
Film Festival.
Yep. All
Best
Sports
Screenplay?
Los
All
Angeles
sports.
Film Festival.
'Cause you
which
guys
I
are-
flew out for.
Because you guys are good at sports.
We're
Yeah.
just
Is
that why you won
sports. No, Frank's actually that's why we're having him on now. He refused to record on any Sunday where there was a football game. NFL
okay.
game.
Yeah,
We
I
had to
watch
wait-
every.
Fair enough.
Had to
every
wait till
game every
after the
Sunday.
Super Bowl.
You got the Sunday ticket. You're watching all games at the
and
same
may
time.
or may not gamble on a lot of the games as well. But
Okay,
that's-
that makes sense.
So yeah, you're a writer, and you've also got some projects without me for some reason. I don't know why, but
I specifically said I want to start projects without Jack.
it's in the
That
contract.
was,
Start a podcast without Frank, will you?
And we've got some exciting ones in the works. One of which is a mob pilot called Connected. That
Yeah.
is Armando Sante is attached to both star and he's producing it, right?
I believe so. He's definitely would be one of the leads in it. It's based on a true story about a former. I don't want to mention any names because I don't know what's
Right.
because of kind of whatever.
But just call
it's
him
it's about
Lisa
a former
S.
FBI agent who did sort of infiltrate the mafia and take them down with along with what's his name, Giuliani, when he was a prosecutor.
Right. When he was taking down frozen
Yeah.
yogurt, low-fat frozen
That's
yogurt. stands.
Seinfeld.
Clean up Times Square.
But yeah, no, that's actually if people don't know, that's how Giuliani rose to prominence and then became a
Right,
front runner for
exactly, yeah.
mayor was because he was
Yeah.
taking
And now
down the
everybody
mob.
just fucking hates him. They forget that he completely saved the city, and now
Before he
he's
became
like
a
this
well,
evil
crazy old
monster.
man.
I don't know what
But
he is
I won't get
nowadays.
into that.
Well,
That's-
now he's the director of cybersecurity for this country, even though his cybersecurity's website was apparently hacked multiple times.
Terrific.
By people who just asked for the password and got it over the phone.
We're in great shape, everybody. Everything's going smoothly.
But he was a great mob lawyer.
Yes.
Was it 1, 2, 3, 4,
Four,
5?
five.
That's the same combination in my briefcase.
That's the same combination to the nation's cybersecurity. So
Amazing.
yeah, that's really exciting. And
Yeah, very cool.
once it actually gets put on
Well,
TV,
yeah,
we'll
we
have to get you back on.
We have a great team. Now it's time to take it to a network, and hopefully somebody will
The
pick it
easy
up.
part.
The easy
Yeah,
part.
that's you'll be fine with that.
But we'll see.
But that's a great segue into the actual episode we covered because
Absolutely.
it's also about
It's about mobs and infiltration.
and going undercover.
Is it
and-
about the mob though? Because
No, I guess it's not
thought
about
that
the mob.
I thought that
Bart-
Fat Tony would come in and the
Nah.
whole crew, and
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't.
It's interesting.
I
that There's no
didn't,
Fat Tony in this episode.
I didn't see
Yeah.
him.
No,
I kept
I guess-
thinking, yeah, they're gonna come any minute, and I
Yeah,
didn't-
and have
I
like
didn't
at least
see
a token cameo. But no,
course.
No,
I
guess-
Bart Nelson and Millhouse, they're a
Yeah.
mob of
Yeah.
sorts.
I guess I'll do a quick recap.
Sure.
But basically, yeah, it's a mob story, but instead of the mafia, it's showing the bullies, or at least the pranksters of Springfield Elementary.
Sure, the prank mob.
The prank mob in a wasn't that CeeLo's rap group from the 90s?
Yeah, sure.
3-6 prank mob. Was that?
So they, I guess I'll just start from the beginning. Basically, well, there's a B plot. I'll hammer this out right away. Marge crashes the car and Homer has to get a loaner car while the other one's in the shop, and he falls in love with the loaner car because it's a big luxury sedan, comes with all the
much
all the
better
perks.
car.
Basically, when you watch a car commercial and it shows you all the good stuff, and then says basic model does not include any of those things.
Yeah,
it's
this is
the one
this
that
is the
does
good
include
one.
them. Yeah, and it's over the top. He falls in love with the car, but then at the end, he sees his old car being sold to some hillbillies for $99, and he misses his old car, and he gets it back, and that's the B plot.
It was not as good as the A plot for sure.
Yeah, the A plot has Topher Grace starring as a new student in school who is a renegade and a rebel. And at first, Bart doesn't like him because he's a rival. But then, after he takes credit for a big, huge prank on Skinner, Bart lets him into his inner circle with Milhouse and Nelson, which again is this prank mob that never quite existed in this form before.
No.
But they just they took some liberties. So this kid joins their group, and then you realize he's actually undercover. Skinner and Chalmers are setting up a sting operation, and he's the rat to bring Bart down once and for all for 10 days. Eventually, Bart figures it out, and it's a loose parody of the Scorsese movie, The Departed,
right?
Which is a remake of the Korean film Infernal Affairs. Both great movies in different ways.
I still need to see that.
It's a really good movie.
Good. It's different from The Departed. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but
when I remember, I was a huge fan of it. When I heard Scorsese was doing the remake, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be amazing," because it's
So you had seen it before,
yeah, and it's a straight up action movie. It's not nearly as dramatic and artsy as The Departed.
Yeah.
But there is some really cool action-y elements in Infernal Affairs that I wish The Departed had done. Like there's a scene in Infernal Affairs where the mob guy who's like Jack Nicholson.
By the way,
in
we're going to
Departed.
spoil the shit out of Infernal Affairs and The Departed.
But yeah, that's probably. But there's a great scene early on where all of the mob guys are lined up and facing all of the cops in the police station. Like they were all arrested and brought in.
Yeah.
And it's like the Martin Sheen character staring down the Jack Nicholson character, and the Damon and DiCaprio facing each other. Oh, it's just such a cool, like, here's the two sides that they never, I guess they didn't need to do it, but it was cool. It was, Korean action movies are just very stylized, and they pull that stuff off. Yep. Anyway, so it's kind of a loose parody of that. Bart thinks Milhouse is the rat. Eventually he learns, he realizes because of a telltale blue vine on Skinner's tongue that, what's the name of the kid, Topher Grace's character? Donnie.
Yeah.
Like Donnie Brasco, I guess, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, which is,
guess
technically
so.
this movie is
I
more
just
of a
kept thinking
parody
Donnie
of-
Wahlberg in my head. I don't know. Is it because Mark Wahlberg?
Because he's in his underwear and shoots himself in Bruce Willis's bedroom. Spoilers for the end of The Departed. But, it's
This is a Blue Bloods podcast, right?
this is the Blue Bloods podcast.
Okay,
That's
just
why we
making
always
sure.
have Bryce on.
That's right, exactly.
And Tom Selleck Sr. on 90s Percentile.
Yep.
Different character, different podcast.
Yes.
Actually, this is more of a Donnie Brasco parody because there's no.
I've actually never seen Donnie Brasco.
Well,
so
that's
interesting.
that's about a rat in the mob.
Right.
Whereas
Johnny Depp, right?
Departed is
Yes.
about a rat for the mob and a rat for the police, and they're two
Yeah.
rats. This
Yeah.
one's a lot less complicated. A second rat does show up. It turns out Willie, who
Right.
you thought was on Bart's side, turns out Willie was also on Skinner's side, and that's how they trap Bart. But then Donnie has a change of heart and helps Bart escape by setting off a Mentos Diet Coke bomb, and he gets
everything's-
expelled, and everything goes back to the status quo.
Yeah.
Wrapped
What
into a
I
neat
love
package.
about this is they reference, they're trying to figure out who's the rat, and Bart says, is it the kid I just met? And it seems to be in Donnie Brasco and all these movies.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely in
it's
The
so
Departed.
obvious that it's the person who just
Obviously,
came
it's,
onto the scene.
It's obviously
that
the
they're
guy
the
that-
rat.
yeah.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
obvious that Johnny Depp was the rat, and
It's definitely obvious
for
that
some
Leo
reason
was
it
the
took them
rat.
it took them a while to figure it out.
Yeah.
And obviously Donnie here is the rat.
If I was like an undercover head of undercover operations, and Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson's character actually does, spoilers with Departed, does do this in The Departed, I would send in two rats. You send in a guy,
Well, yeah.
then you send in another guy after that, and you just set him up. I mean, he's probably going to get killed.
Don't let the first one know about the
But
second
pick
one.
one of the dumb cops that you'd be better off
Yeah.
without him anyway.
Right.
And then set him up, and then have the other guy prove himself. But like, hey, this guy's a rat, and then now he's really in.
Yeah,
I mean, you have
that's
to
true.
sacrifice an innocent policeman's life.
Well, but if you're a crime lord, you probably don't care about those kinds of things. I really like that in the episode they kind of poked fun at that because that was something in The Departed. In a lot of these movies, it's always
there was that, and then the one reference I remembered because I had seen this episode prior to today, which the very end that when Ralph says the Ralph symbol or
The rat.
Ralph.
Yeah.
The rat symbolizes
Obviousness.
obviousness.
Yeah.
That's one
Which-
of the few direct references to The Departed.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and obviously they used the Dropkick Murphy song. I'm
That,
shipping up to
and
Mars
there's like a-
several
and then-
times.
And then there's a spoof of the Chinatown chase scene.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's really more loose mob
Right.
undercover
Yeah,
tropes than
that's
actual.
true.
Like, I was expecting, I watched it once years and years ago. I was expecting it to be more like another Scorsese parody, Cape Fear. Where
Right.
that's
That's a direct parody, yeah.
And I thought it was going to be more like the stories are very close between The Departed and The Departed, but I was surprised at how stylistically they really didn't have. There wasn't all besides the rat shot at the end.
There weren't
wasn't
a lot of
of
like set pieces
Yeah.
that were mimicked, and
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of Scorsese. Eventually, the first half for sure. Eventually, they did start throwing like we said, the Dropkick Murphys and the Chinatown. But
Yeah.
I guess I was expecting a little bit more, but it didn't hurt the episode. I wasn't like, oh, I want a Departed.
No,
I
not at all.
I don't know if you picked up on it in the very beginning. They had the cab fare meter
Yeah.
going with the gun. I didn't know if that was a Taxi Driver reference or I'm just thinking,
Oh, that would-
thinking too much on it. But
Maybe. That's the very first thing in the
so
episode.
I
mean-
was thinking, why don't we just bang out the B plot first?
Sure,
'Cause
yeah,
it's
let's do that.
Completely unconnected to the.
Completely separate. It
It's,
has nothing to do with anything.
It's the opposite of Frank's pilot. It's unconnected.
So it starts with Marge is driving Homer's car, and
Yeah, the kids are fighting in the back.
Yeah, what did you think of this scene? Because they're kind of. I think Bart was like, "Oh, my leg is the line," and then he shoves Lisa into the window, and then they start kicking each other, and Lisa's
with the
kicking him with cleats.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny, but it did go on a long time.
The kicking went
Yeah,
on for a
The
while.
kicking
I
went
mean,
on for
I
a really
remember,
long
like,
time.
you know, I had a sister growing up. I remember doing road trips. One year we drove to Florida.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, there's sort of a nostalgic thing. I remember doing that. I don't know
There's
if it's
tension
worth,
in the back seats.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
you see it in lame car commercials and everything else.
Right.
I don't know if it's worth the amount of time they spent on it. I didn't get the cleats thing, but
Yeah,
They
yeah.
hurt.
you know,
Yes.
yeah.
Lisa's playing sports now.
She's
Yeah,
sure.
why was Lisa in cleats?
Well, she
play
played
soccer?
hockey, right?
That's
She-
true.
she's
What
played.
else has
She's
she-
played.
what
She's
else has
played
she played
hockey. She played
gymnastics.
She was a
volleyball.
tap dancer.
Volleyball.
Is that a sport?
Yeah, but I feel like she
Gymnastics?
quits all of these sports by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. That's nitpicking.
That's
there
like
was-
me.
You're going to quit a sport by the end of the
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, I actually will.
Stay tuned to find out what sport it is.
I took up smoking and gave that up.
I did like what happens is Marge is trying to get the kids to stop fighting, and she crashes into Hans Moleman's car, and we cut to Hans
Did you
Moleman's
just call him?
perspective.
You're calling him Molman?
Hans Moleman.
Hans
Moleman?
Moleman.
Yeah,
Hans
Moleman.
Moleman?
Because he's a
I say
Whatever he
Hans
is.
Moleman.
Hans Moleman.
Hans Moleman.
No, it's Moleman. Hans Moleman. Hans Moleman.
I think you're
Hans Moleman.
You're an
Hans
Moleman.
Moleman presents a man getting hit with Is it Moleman?
I don't know. Now you have me questioning
Hans
myself.
Moleman.
I say Hans Moleman too.
Yeah.
Moleman sounds like a suburban Jewish guy.
Isn't he?
Isn't that what he is?
Isn't that
No,
who he
he's a
is?
mole man. He's only
Escape
31
the
years
kingdom
old.
of the moles.
He's only 31 years old.
Whatever his
Either way,
name is.
He
looks like a peanut.
Anytime he's on an episode, I have to laugh. I mean,
Yeah,
anything he does, it's fucking hilarious.
Absolutely.
And he dies all the time, and this one was particularly
Oh no,
graphic,
my brains.
where we actually watch him suffocate in
I'll
real
get
time.
those lucky
Yeah.
charms.
Well, I didn't necessarily need to see him suffocate, but I did like we cut to him and the crash has already happened, and then a second later the airbag goes
Yeah,
off, and
and then
that's what kind of
suffocates him.
suffocates him. I like that. I thought that was
Has
funny.
he had his own episode?
No.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I don't think there has been a
Can I write that? That
Moleman-centric...
should be like
You
a
should.
spec episode.
Yeah. If you're listening, Simpsons writers at this
I wanna do
podcast
a-
dedicated to tearing you
To
down,
why you are bad.
have Frank write you a Hans
And-
Moleman episode.
and buy it and air it.
This is why I'm
please.
not a very good agent.
Have Frank do it.
But yeah, so Marge crashes the car, and that's just a segue for Bart for Homer to get the loaner car at the dealership.
Yeah, and there's a scene where he goes to the dealership, and it's the wise guy,
Charlie
voiced-
Bronson guy.
Charlie Bronson man, and he's at the dealership, uncharacteristically being helpful, which I thought was strange.
Yeah, it wasn't
because
very sarcastic.
He wasn't. It was just that guy.
Yeah. Fat, sarcastic Star Trek fan. You must be a devil with the ladies.
I feel like it should have been Gil.
Yeah, Gil would have made a little
Oh,
more
yeah,
sense.
Gil.
You're right,
Yeah.
totally. Because what happens is Homer, they have to do work on the car, and they're like, "Oh, you can use our loaner for free," and it's this really nice car. And Homer's just like, "What? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm a big dumb idiot."
That's what he said.
That was a direct quote. So yeah, I thought it was really weird that it wasn't a more, that guy is a sarcastic character usually.
Yeah.
He wasn't sarcastic at all throughout the whole
that's
episode.
a great point. I liked this B plot, although I wish they had done a lot more with it. It was kind of just really had nothing to do with the A plot, never tied in, was just kind of there.
Yeah, it
but-
was the Homer equivalent of Lisa and Marge with the doorbell,
Right,
or
right.
even the egg magic,
Right. But I found it relatable in the fact that like every once in a while very rarely do I find myself in one of those really nice luxury cars.
Yeah.
Like those $90,000 like sedans. And it really is like it's so cool to be in one of those. I remember I was driving with somebody.
Yeah, they got things now where you can open the car from your keys
With the remote, I can, and the windows, you don't have to roll them down. You just press a button.
You don't even have to break them, right? Nothing.
No more stitches on the old elbow. No, I remember I was going down. This guy's like driving me down the highway to this. It's a long story, but we're going down the highway.
Yeah. What?
And he's going.
We have time.
We're going to the gas station bathroom to have secret
This guy
sex.
was molesting me, and what?
Nah, it was weird. It was my girlfriend at the time's best friend, and he was taking me to go see. It was so weird.
All right, we don't need to hear it.
Yeah, like I said,
I still want to hear it.
But he goes, "Look at the speedometer. Look at the speedometer." I go, "All right." And I look, and we're going like 98 miles per hour on the parkway. And I was just, it felt
Did you
like
go to the future back to was it 88?
that was 88. Yeah.
Okay.
No, and I felt like I was going like 20 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I was just like, with nice cars, you're not just jostling around.
You're
like
not wiggling
trash.
and jiggling everywhere, jostling around like trash.
So I know I thought it was a cool idea to have this working class Simpsons family playing around with a fancy new car.
Yeah, it was a solid idea. It doesn't really go anywhere.
No.
There's a scene at the mechanics still where Homer goes off on a rant, I guess, just saying, "You guys are idiots. You're giving me a car for nothing. You're so stupid." And it just goes on and on. What did you guys think of that? I guess you can tell that I didn't like it.
I didn't like
I don't know,
it.
they should have had Putty. You know how he's a grease monkey in Seinfeld? He should have been the mechanic. Someone like that.
Patrick
you know?
Warburton. I don't
Yeah.
think he's ever guested on the show, and he's got
No,
he
that'd be
does
great.
Family Guy, so he's obviously got a great voice.
Johnson
Yeah.
Rod. What's a Johnson Rod? No, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, that's right.
Finder's fee was on the lot. Yeah, that's right.
Keys. How you gonna start the car?
So yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. They do a thing where he laughs and then he gets serious, but then he starts laughing again.
Yeah.
I kind of like the call, like him laughing again. It sort of
Yeah,
redeemed
it was-
the joke, but
it was all
I
right.
didn't need it.
Yeah.
I did really like the line where he goes, "Oh, this is the type of car you see in commercials."
Yeah,
like that
right.
again. That's
like
the whole working class seeing the nice car, and it's this like exotic thing.
Yeah, and I kind of liked. I didn't love it, but I kind of liked when he's just driving and he's singing "owner of a" or "driver of a loner car" to "owner of a lonely heart."
It's kind of clever.
You're
out?
That was like Dan Castellana doing his singing
But
my Homer voice.
But
Yeah,
it was
I'm out.
it was so in and out. Like you get the joke. He's singing
I'm
the
with
yes
Dan
song.
on that one. I thought it was clever.
I liked it.
I didn't.
But what I really liked was when he sees Lenny and Carl on the side of the road, and they come up and they're like, "Oh, what a nice car! What song does the horn play?" And he just goes,
Yeah.
"None." And Carl just goes, "Classy."
Yeah, that was one of my bigger.
that
laughs.
was a big laugh for all of us. I think.
I mean, we all know Homer loves his La Cucaracha horns.
Yeah, that's true. The car for the everyman.
You ever hear the car horn of the Godfather theme?
Oh yeah, Staten Island.
Stat-
Island,
yeah, yeah.
everybody had that.
Oh, but that doesn't surprise me. I
bet,
never
yeah.
heard it though.
It's
No,
like
yeah.
do 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 do.
Yeah, no.
Is that get the
You
guy
have
in front of
to
you out of the way?
Be on a level of Guido that's just like
There was a neighbor,
Staten Island,
yeah.
or even around here, maybe they might have that.
No, I had a neighbor who was dating a guy with that horn. So, like twice a day at night or whatever, I would be in my bedroom. You know, it's like 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and I would just hear do 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 do.
And that'd be while you were watching The Godfather.
Yeah,
You still were like, what the
yeah.
fuck's going on?
I was like, I don't remember this remix of the theme.
Oh man,
This is the car horn version again.
you pull out the DVD and you got the car horn version.
It's like my mom always buys me full screen when she knows
Yeah,
I like
right, yep.
widescreen, and my dad always buys me the car horn version when he knows I like the original soundtrack.
Absolutely. What did you think of this other scene in the car where Homer is showing off to Bart? Well, first of all, he's driving behind Bart and keeps hitting him with the car, which was whatever.
I like that a lot, actually,
Yeah?
because that's like a Homer being a kind of a bad, reckless dad, but he's not being a jerk ass. He's just like, that's how he gets Bart's attention, by
I guess.
tapping him lightly with a car.
I guess it was a little bit jerk ass to me, but
I
not
thought
so
it was
much that I
well-intentioned.
hated it.
I thought it was well
I don't even
intentioned.
remember it, so I clearly
Yeah, there you
didn't
go.
care for it.
But when Bart gets in the car, he's, Bart kind of opens up like, oh, there's a new kid at school, which we'll talk about that in a little
Right.
bit. But Homer says, well, would it cheer you up to watch the air conditioner fight with the heating? And they turn on both. And it's that was a funny idea. I like that.
Yeah, it's like hot air comes out, like red mist comes out
Right,
of the heater.
red and blue
fights
like
with
come
the
out,
blue, right.
but then it gets super cartoony when it like turns into a storm cloud,
Dan,
and then eventually
it is a cartoon. I hate to break the news. I know
this
you
was
love
a documentary.
Some Simpsons expert.
You guys are blowing my mind right now.
This is a cartoon we're
I
watching.
thought these are real people who haven't
That was
aged
the
in 28 years.
That was the one question we got wrong at Simpsons trivia.
That's right. Is this show real?
You said yes, and we're like, Dan, we know you're the expert.
I based my life on this show. It has to be real. It's real to me, damn it.
That's what matters.
That's what matters. I don't know. The whole like tornado thing in the car, it didn't do much for me, but maybe I'm an asshole.
You are, but I agree.
all right.
Yeah.
But I agree. It was too cartoony in this
Not
cartoon.
mutually exclusive. Then, much later on, there's a scene where Homer and Marge go for a romantic drive, and kind of the destination is the car. Like, Homer's showing off to Marge, reclines the seats, puts on like smooth jazz on the XM radio.
Shows off the moonroof, another very luxurious thing
Yeah,
that's
it's extremely
never
luxurious.
existed in cars before.
Isn't it luxurious?
I don't know.
You guys are
Probably.
saying luxurious.
We're not the
Luxurious,
writers
luxurious.
here.
I don't know. It's a moment.
No, I don't know. If it's 2 on 1, I feel like the
No,
idiot.
no, it's definitely
This
luxurious.
isn't a pronunciation podcast.
It's not.
all right?
I'm out of here.
That's 90s percentile.
I'll fuck up words down the road, so it doesn't matter.
My Sling Blade app's on the fritz.
right. Oh man.
Hey, for your fancy pants.
Luxurious.
Oh man, all of our Sling Blade apps are fritzing. But there's a scene when they're in the car, it dispenses champagne or wine or something to them, and kind of they're basically about to fuck in this car while Homer is driving. And that's when he gets a call from Charles Bronson Man being like, your car's ready, like bring the loaner back. And he's like, screw you, I'm never bringing it back. I don't know. This whole scene was just like,
That was
Well, and it
it's
was
just
a
kinda there.
self-driving car, too. So that,
yeah. It was ahead of
Is
its
that-
time.
he
put it on autopilot.
And listen,
yeah.
Simpsons predicts a lot of things, so I think that
Yeah,
this
they-
could be the sort of predictive programming
They
with what's to
predicted-
come.
Yeah.
The Trump presidency.
The Trump presidency.
They
yeah.
nailed it all.
Yeah.
They nailed it. They're great. It's a great show. It's tremendous. I love
huge.
it. It's the best show on television, and it is 100% nonfiction.
Although they also
Cut
tried
to them mocking him. It's a terrible show. It's overrated. It's way pissed. It's time.
and that's
yeah.
cut to him within the same sentence.
Yes.
This show's terrible. It's great. It's terrible.
He changes his mind mid-tweet.
I'm going to build a show on top of the show.
I'm just real glad. It's an honor to have you all here. You're terrible. So, yeah, no, they predict. This scene did nothing. I get that they needed to push the story.
fine.
And
I
Homer
mean-
wants to hold on to the car.
It was fluff. This entire thing was really fluff.
Yeah, it was. I really wish they had somehow tied it into the A plot at the end. It would have redeemed the whole arc.
Yeah.
But
Have either of
It's
you
kinda-
guys had sex while the car is driving?
while the car is driving,
not while the car's driving.
While the car is driving?
I'd like to think I have had
that
sex
possible?
while
I mean, I
a
guess
car was
in a
driving
backseat.
somewhere.
The car is driving.
If you're
Yeah.
not driving, you could do it. Like, yeah, the back seat or something.
The Foot High Club.
Nice. I get it. I get the
Yeah,
reference.
no,
don't get
I'd
it.
like to assume I've had sex while somewhere somebody was driving a car, but
That's, well, you have to have sex first for that to be the case.
that's why I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just was pretty much every family member had a scene with Homer in the car, actually,
car,
now that I
yeah.
think about it. Because then the last one is kind of Lisa in the car, and it's just Homer drives by the dealership. The dealer is selling Homer's car for $99 to a group of hillbillies that I think want to rape the car.
Yeah, it was like I think it was a Deliverance kind of
I guess.
thing.
It raised more questions than it
It was
answered.
basically like, man, Homer really needs his car back. How can we do it? They can't just buy it. They have to buy it and rape the car.
Yeah.
For him to really, I don't know.
It was just a very rushed. We have to get back to the status quo.
So this plot really kind of reminded me of season 8, where Bart gets Laddie, and Laddie is a better, more luxurious
Yeah.
dog than Santa's little helper. And at some point he goes, I want my old crummy dog back. And
Right.
so basically that's what happens here, where Homer goes, oh, I miss my old car and I want it back. But it's out of nowhere. I would have liked to have seen, like with Laddie, a scene where everybody's like, wow, Lisa says, oh, this car can directly take NPR donations. And
which did nothing for me, by the way.
well,
I don't know about you.
we'll
all right, we can
we'll
talk
circle
about that.
back to that. But basically, everybody's like, oh, and it pours champagne. And it would have been nice if Homer goes, just like reminisces, like, yeah, although I do kind of miss hot wiring my car with a fork.
You're totally right.
And then when he sees the car, he decides, I want that car back.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause
what would that moment be? I mean, what tie does he have to that car?
you could have something like
you would know.
Well, you could have something where it's just like, oh, I miss the stain where I spilled my beer or something,
Yeah,
or
something
like
like
things like that, or like his ass groove, like with the old crappy couch.
Yeah.
I know
that's
the
cool.
continuity is all over the place here,
Yeah.
but maybe he has a memory of the first time he heard Marge was pregnant, and he
I see,
freaks
yeah.
out
Right.
and drops his...
So you could just make up anything,
Yeah.
really, as
Yeah.
long as you.
Because I think it was just because it's sudden. Just all of a sudden, it's the end of the episode.
The car-
he just sees the car,
the car's
and he's
about to
like,
be
"Oh, I
raped."
want my car back." Yeah, it's about to be raped by 4 hillbillies,
and he rescues it from being raped.
which is a good move.
Oh, wait,
but,
what,
you know.
what is? Oh, you guys watch Man Seeking Woman?
Yes.
Have you seen
I
the
have
episode
never seen it.
where his girlfriend is a car and
Yes.
he's having sex with
Yeah,
the car?
it-
So it is
it's
possible.
very explicitly-
He puts his dick in the gas. So.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's
Oh, yeah.
explicitly having penis to orifice sex with the car.
Penis in
It's
gas
actually
tank sex.
it's actually hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch it, but I have not seen the show. But
It's very good.
all right.
Well, also, we would like to write for that show as well.
If you're man seeking woman writers, if you're listening to this show,
Which you are.
Men seeking writers.
men seeking jobs. Yeah, no. So I wish if they just followed that laddie plot a little bit more, it would have given a little bit more meat to the story bone. It would have made this this useless B plot seem a little less useless. It still would have been relatively useless.
Yeah, and then it just kind of ends.
Yeah, I do want to circle back to the Terry Gross cameo.
Sure.
Because she is the queen of podcasts.
Gross.
Fresh Air has been around as a radio show for 30 years.
Yeah.
But it was the very first podcast besides the Lost podcast. But it was the very first podcast I listened from like a podcast type of app.
Right.
And I still listen to it to this day. So to me, it's very important in my podcasting career.
Sure.
And I love Terry Gross, and this was one of the. And I remember when I watched this in 2008. This was one of the most pointless cameos I've ever seen.
Yeah, because I have no connection to Terry Gross, and I know who
I'm
she
Terry
is.
Gross.
Oh my God, another app.
Well, she references something from 1987. I
Yeah.
don't remember
So that's-
specifically, but
that's
what
the
was
one
that?
joke.
That's kind of my point.
Oh,
Like, what was the
did
joke?
you know? I don't know.
So the joke
You
is,
know.
it sounded exactly like her show, where she's doing
Oh.
a promo for a show, and her show are all these esoteric interviews with obscure people,
Got it.
and typically she'll also do repeats from 30 years ago.
Okay.
So that was the joke, but it was so close to reality, and she was pretty much. I mean, she's not an actress. She's pretty much just doing her Terry Gross shtick so literally that it really didn't feel like a joke at all. It was
No,
just
it
there.
didn't. That's kind of why it did nothing for me. Like the idea of Lisa donating money through the car, I like that.
Yeah.
That's fun for like a luxury car. But yeah, just Terry Gross's appearance
It was
wasted.
just making fun of the show, of the Fresh Air, the show, by describing the show exactly. There should have been a line where, like, you'll get a tote bag for $25. Or you could just do you have to
or
have
listen,
a gift?
listen for free, like
Yeah.
a scumbag or something like that.
Something, yeah. And then the play on Terry Gross is like the nicest woman in the world.
Right.
She's super meek and super quiet. Yeah, play on her image like that. And,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll kill you. I'll kill all of you.
Right. I'm sure she has a good sense of humor. She's clearly
She
a
is,
fan.
yeah,
so.
no. And you should listen to Fresh Air. It's an amazing.
I probably should.
It's an amazing show.
But I don't.
Maybe it wasn't her. It was somebody talking into a Terry Gross app. It
Could
changes
be.
the voice.
It was actually Billy Bob Thornton as Terry Gross.
as John Slingblade talking into the app.
But that's all I have to say about that pointless B plot.
This car is amazing. The radio lets me contribute directly to NPR.
This is Terry Gross from NPR saying thank you. Now let's get back to our 1987 interview with Senator Alan Cranston.
Let's talk about the A plot. Bart eventually does get to school after the car accident. And because he's a little late, and he sees somebody sitting in his seat. And it's one of the toes. It's
a toe. We were just talking about the toes in the last episode.
Just talking about the toe.
Yeah.
Can't remember any other. Oh, there's Tobey Maguire.
It was Topher Grace and Tobey Maguire.
Are there any other toes?
I don't think so. I think it's just the two
Toad
toes.
Wet
Toad from Super Mario.
Toad from Super
Toad
Mario.
from Super Mario.
That's all I got.
So it's 4 toes. That's all you need.
That'll keep your foot nice and
Who
steady.
needs the picky toe?
Yeah. 4 toes.
I don't know what frightens me more, that the statue's there that has 4 toes.
Oh, man. I love that cameo appearance the 4 toes made on Lost. It was amazing.
It was then they cut to this really bad CGI statue of
Yes.
Topher Grace.
Tobey Maguire.
Maguire.
Toad the Wet Sprocket and Toad from Super Mario Brothers.
And then they didn't pay it off for 6 seasons.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped watching the show. It was at that moment. It
was that-
with
that was the one.
with
It was,
Toad.
it was a little much, but it's Topher Grace. And he's
Yeah,
playing
Donnie.
he's playing this good-looking, not quite Springfieldy looking Simpsons animation character.
Yep.
And he's the cool kid, and he's sitting in the seat, and he's making jokes about Mrs. Krabappel, and then getting high fives, and he's
Right.
basically out-Barting Bart.
Yeah, I liked the one joke he had was Miss Krabappel was like, he came here from PS 122 or whatever, and he just goes, PS, that school sucks.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Little smart, little intelligent for.
I don't don't know. Little punny. What I really liked. So Donnie had taken Bart's seat, and Miss Krabappel was like, "Don't worry, Willie is wheeling in another chair for you." And Willie brings in this makeshift desk that's just a pile of wood and a toilet.
Attached to an old dirty toilet. Oh, that was hilarious.
I like
that was probably my biggest laugh of the whole episode.
In fact, I wrote down toilet laugh. I guess I like potty humor.
I wrote down toilet to remind me to go to the bathroom.
That's a good
before we started recording.
Always a good reminder.
Because if I don't write it down, I forget. So he basically meets the kid, and they have this confrontation. Like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm the king of the pranks over here. Capiche?
Yeah.
And the capiche, I'm guessing, is there because the whole mob Italian stuff.
Right. Well, they go back and forth, and then it's just you just keep on capiching.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love that line. You just keep on capiching.
Yeah, same.
It's just, capiche, if you don't know, it's an Italian word for understand.
Right.
Italian, it's in every mob movie ever.
Yeah, we don't know what people outside of New York don't know.
But yeah,
we're very sheltered.
You say capiche. I used to always think, as a kid, I used to picture it as like CABEESH. Like I wasn't picturing an Italian word.
Sure, yeah.
But the idea of using this like Guido kind of stereotypical word in this like children. I see my biggest thing I loved about this episode was how childish they all were. Even though it was a mob and undercover tropes, Donnie Brasco.
Well, because it's still kids doing pranks at school.
Yeah, and I'm glad they stuck to that. So I love you just keep on capiching.
Yeah, that was great. And something else I really liked about this whole plot, like this started right away. Like there was the opening scene with the car accident, and then Bart gets to school, and then immediately we're into this A plot, and it carries through the entire episode.
Well, I guess I'll mention this now. I was going to mention it later.
Okay.
I actually don't know why they did this, but basically they set up this guy as Bart's rival.
Yeah.
And Bart hates him, and then Bart grows to like him.
Which is a great plot. I loved it.
I don't like that because
really?
because then basically we're getting a little ahead, and we'll get back to some of the specific stuff. But he takes the credit for something Bart did and gets in trouble for it, and that's how he gets into Bart's inner circle. And I thought it would have been much stronger if he had started off as unlikable. Everybody loves this kid. I mean, I know Bart doesn't, but if he was like this meek, kind of nerdy new kid, and everybody's like, who likes this new kid? And Bart's just like, yeah, we don't need any new kids. I already got Milhouse and Nelson. I don't need you.
Right.
And then he went. That's like it's more of a win to bring him into his inner circle. It didn't quite make sense to have him be this. Hey, you're my rival, and you're better than me, and I want to be better than you. And then all of a sudden,
we're friends.
Here's where it happened. When they go,
he had his back. That's why. They're friends.
But when they go to the treehouse scene, now Bart is playing. If we're doing this whole mob story,
Yeah.
Bart's the mob, the Don. Bart's the Jack Nicholson,
right?
And he has all this respect, and he's super cool and confident. He's like, here, have some extra blue vines. Here, have this.
Right.
That doesn't fit in with the first act Bart, who's just
that's true.
But if Bart was so desperate for everybody's attention and was jealous of this other kid, then he wouldn't be the mob. He wouldn't be the Don.
Right.
He wouldn't have.
That's true.
It's a respect thing. He didn't have Nelson and Milhouse's respect, and all of a sudden they just cut, and it's a completely different Bart that has all this respect.
That's a very fair point. Yeah, you're right.
If it was the other way around, where Bart was always the king of the schoolyard, and this kid was just this nerdy kid who earns his way into the group, that would have made much more sense.
So two things: doing it that way would have been much more like The Departed, because Leonardo DiCaprio has to earn his way in.
Yeah, he wasn't Jack
Nicholson.
Nicholson's rival, and he wasn't like out making rat faces, and you better get organized quick.
Right.
Was he in with that cranberry juice moment? That's what I'm recalling.
That's when Jack Nicholson first took notice of him. Yeah,
because he beats up one of his guys.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got a hot head.
What is he? A period?
It's a great movie.
I say it's a really good movie. That's why I saw it 3 times in theaters.
It won Best Picture. Correct?
It did,
right?
Deservedly so. I think.
Scorsese's
It was his first time.
first win.
When he lost for The Aviator,
because he never made a good film prior to The Departed.
No, that's the only good
he
film.
He had no good films.
when he lost
Zero.
The Aviator, you threw something across the room.
Although I'll admit that was not one of his better pictures.
But you were so mad, you grabbed like a bottle or something, threw it across, and everybody else in the room just went, "Hey, come on!" Because it wasn't your room; it was their room.
We got to see him. He came into when Jack and I were at NYU. He came in and screened Aviator. Scorsese.
I don't remember that.
He did.
I didn't see
That's
that.
awesome.
I got.
I've actually never seen The Aviator.
I've never seen Scorsese in person. I must have missed that.
Oh, well,
Well,
that's a shame.
Pisses me off.
Yeah, as it should.
That's the one good thing I got from the school.
I had a second point. Now I don't remember what it was. Oh, you were talking about
how it should have been.
I got it. And then the other thing I was going to say is that the idea of basically Bart's rival, kind of just doing Lisa's rival, but with Bart.
Yeah.
I like that, but you're right. They kind of shove that into just the first act, and then completely turns on a dime and becomes this other thing.
And it's not even,
which I didn't realize until you said it.
Right, and it doesn't even bother me. To me, it makes more sense if he was this meek nerd that makes his way in. But it doesn't even matter to me that he starts off really cool. That works too. What didn't work was Bart going from this guy that didn't have a hand. He wasn't king of the schoolyard. He lost his status, and then all of a sudden his status is back.
What did he have?
He had just a ruler. he just had like a ruler for a hand. It didn't make any sense. If he's the mob boss in this scenario, then in the first act he should have been the mob boss, not please like me too. And then there's one of the very first pranks that Topher Grace does is he makes a seesaw and he puts a big pile of trash and then he jumps from the picnic table onto the other end of the seesaw and he catapults the trash against the wall.
Which is pretty great.
Which is great. Nelson goes seesaw instead of
right.
Which season 7, the Oakley and Weinstein, were they the showrunners at the time? No.
Yeah.
They said in a commentary for 22 short, one of the season 7 episodes, they said in season 7 when they became showrunners, they tried to come up with every single variation of ha ha possible, including with a culmination of him having an out of body experience.
Yeah, right.
But so that reminded me as like a throwback to that when he goes seesaw. But anyway, so Bart does the same thing and he jumps on the seesaw and the trash just goes up and lands on him and then humiliates him.
Also very funny.
But that doesn't make sense if he's the uber cool mob boss that needs to be taken down. If he's got garbage on him, he's already been taken down.
Good, very good point. Very good point.
So that was a huge problem for me.
So let's talk about this. Bart needs to do a big prank to get back in the good graces of the school, I guess, and become this mob type figure.
Yeah, that's where it does tie in.
So he puts metal in Skinner's shoes, and then there's this big assembly to explain this super complicated lunch plan, and Bart is under the stage with magnets just dragging Skinner's feet around, which I know it's a cartoon show, guys. I don't really know. But I thought that was not the best prank. Like, if you want to have a big prank from Bart, that was kind of lame. What did you guys think of the magnets thing?
So I liked it a lot. I thought this was, I liked the idea. I was like, for a big grand prank, this is something that totally fits with Bart and Skinner's previous pranks. It's something we haven't seen before.
But it's so cartoony and over the top.
Not really. Magnets are strong. I don't know.
This wouldn't really work in real life.
Somebody hasn't seen Breaking Bad, Science Bitch, where magnets are very powerful. And I will admit that the magnets he used were very cartoony. The big red,
the red horseshoe magnets.
It was like the Looney Tunes Acme magnets.
It was super Looney Tunes. I could see Wile E. Coyote doing this.
Yeah, if this was season 1 or 2, sure. But I thought this fit perfectly. What I didn't like was they didn't do anything with it. Basically, we watched for a full minute of Skinner just like sliding around the stage.
It goes on a very long time.
And nothing funny happens until the very end.
He falls in the retainers, right?
Yeah.
The used retainers.
Which I liked. I like that.
The retainers gag was great. And that was the perfect...
It was a great end cap.
It was a great disgusting thing to happen, a culmination of the... But there's like a full minute of him just sliding around and there's nothing funny except, I guess he's making contortionist moves.
Which is why I was surprised that you liked it.
Well, I liked the premise.
You liked the premise.
The cartooniness of the magnets does not bother me at all. I just wish they had done something funny. He should have gone like, make it even more cartoony. Maybe Bart brings him up the wall and he goes up the wall. There should have been more jokes like the retainer joke where something is happening to Skinner because of this magnet shoes.
I mean, they did do one off-camera cartoony thing where Bart had like one of the magnets over there and drags the other one really far away, and we hear Skinner be like, "Oh!"
Yeah. See, but that to me, that's at least funnier than just watching him on stage slide around to little comic effect.
I don't know. It didn't do much for me. And then Skinner comes out, and Bart has now taken his seat in the assembly, so he doesn't know that Bart did it, and Donnie takes the blame, and at the time I wrote, "But why?" in my notes. It's explained very quickly after.
So you didn't know he was a mole going
I mean, I knew it was a Departed parody, but I didn't know how it was all going to play out. But yeah, it turns out he's a mole for Skinner and Chalmers, and now they have a... He's a moment.
He's a moment.
Oh my God! We just cracked this wide open.
But see, he's a boy, so he'd be a mole boy or a mole boy.
A mole boy.
A mole boy.
A mole boy.
And there's my favorite line of the maybe the. I can't think of any others that are funnier.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, is basically they talk about how this is a whole sting operation set up by Chalmers and by Skinner to bring Bart down. Even though I guess they could have just Superintendent Chalmers could have been in the room at the time
That's
Skinner
true.
slid around.
watching Bart do this. Yeah,
that would have been much easier.
but they wanted to take down the whole operation.
Yeah, that's just as cartoony as the magnet stand.
I guess they wanted to get Milhouse and Nelson too.
They were, it's the RICO Act.
It's not much of an operation, to be honest. It's run out of a kid's treehouse.
But anyway, they're
blue
talking.
vines.
Yeah, with blue
That's
vines.
it.
They're
That's all I
setting
got out of
they're
that.
setting up the sting operation, and Chalmers goes, and we'll be able to put him away for a long, long time. 10 days suspension. And Skinner goes, well, 10 days isn't that long. And Chalmers gets mad. It's like, for a kid, it's very long.
Yeah, I like that. That was really good. So yeah, now we get the scene where Bart brings Donnie into the treehouse and into his inner circle.
And I like Bart as mob boss and Treehouse as the back of the room in the restaurant in The Departed.
I mean,
all this work.
I thought of what's his name? The guy from
Joe Piscopo.
Goulet, when Robert Goulet comes.
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
what season is that?
That's season 5.
That's what I was thinking. Like
Right,
when he
when
had a
he
casino
runs a
sort of set
Bart's
up.
casino.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't they have jazzed it up a little bit?
Yeah, you're right.
The
Make it-
clubhouse,
not just make
something
it-
like that to that
Yeah.
effect.
Have a bar, a little bar,
Not
with
just
like
an
with,
empty place with blue
Yoo-hoos or
vines.
something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did have
they had the
like the
juice
cooler with the
boxes.
juice boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But
And they
you're-
had the fake bathroom passes and all of Bart's records of pranks.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It didn't
Dress it up a little more.
visually.
Yeah, no,
it
I
could have used the
understand.
skin. I did like the idea of instead of illegal Cuban cigars, are Cubans still illegal?
Probably not
Yeah,
now.
what's the deal now?
They
Is
would
that-
have been. They would have been then.
I'm still
So you
smoking
could-
American cigars like a schmuck.
Like a sucker.
I was in Puerto Rico a couple weeks ago, and in the line I got in, it said if you're going to Cuba, get in this line, and I think Puerto Rico is the other line. But to go to Cuba, it looks like you just have to say why you're going. So
Yeah.
you can just say anything, I think.
Not
'Cause
a
you
spy.
go up to a lady, and it's like, well, why are you going? I don't know. I'm just
to
going.
not kill
to say-
Castro.
well,
He's already
too late.
dead.
He's dead.
I meant the other Castro.
I mean, yeah, I mean, what could you possibly say that could not send you to Cuba? I mean, that's what I'm
To
wondering.
smuggle drugs.
Oh, damn it!
Oh, I mean,
Wait,
can I
dude,
do it
don't
again?
worry, you get 2 tries.
Oh, good. To smuggle drugs.
Okay, yeah, whatever. Come on in. Yeah, no.
They need the money.
But so instead of illegal Cuban cigars, they have European red vines, where it's the only
Right.
place you can get them blue, and they're blue
Is
vines.
that true,
Yeah.
by the way? Because they had me sold on it.
I feel like you can easily
I was
get
about
blue
to Google
vines.
that, and then I said,
I don't know about red vines. Twizzlers
definitely had
they
a
got all
raspberry
the colors
blue.
of the rainbow.
Yeah.
"Whoa, the colors of the rainbow."
Yeah, and so they're in the treehouse and they're showing off like all their schemes and things. And I love that Lisa comes in and she wants to be part of the fun. And she's like, "Can I hang out?" Because they're having a juice box party. Instead of drinking, they're drinking juice boxes. And then they all just spray Lisa. And I just thought it was really funny.
It did nothing for me.
It's
Nothing?
cute. You know.
I did like. I did like.
Because then Lisa storms into the house. This leads into the next scene. She's covered in juice, and she just goes, "It's not fun. Fun's only fun if everyone's having fun."
Yeah,
I like
I
that
liked
line.
it, yeah.
And Yardley Smith had a really interesting, fun delivery for the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And is that the scene where Marge is rebottling
Yeah.
ketchup?
Yes.
Ketchup.
You,
Yeah, so
you want
she-
to explain this?
Yeah, so when Lisa comes in, Marge is taking packets of ketchup and squeezing out the ketchup and refilling a bottle of ketchup. And
Smart
goes-
idea, I
Yeah,
think.
And she
Yeah.
goes, "This is
Has
how."
that been done anywhere else? That's what I was trying to
Well,
think.
I
Like
don't know
another
about you.
show or
I don't know about you
or
guys.
real life.
When we grew up, we just had packets of McDonald's ketchup.
Yeah,
in
we
the-
always-
didn't-
we always
didn't-
just save them.
We didn't
Yeah.
have a bottle of ketchup. We just had fancy ketchup from McDonald's. And it's so to this day, it's actually something I do because I think we've established on the show I hate ketchup.
I hate ketchup
Yeah.
too. That's
Yeah,
one
it
of the
skis
things.
the hell
But
out of me.
I save them. I don't
Well,
eat ketchup.
because
I
for
save
guests.
it for guests. Exactly.
So I'm
That's
not
very considerate
It's
of both
true.
of you
Wow.
because
So-
I love ketchup.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
if you
thinking
want
about
some-
And if
guys
I
like
come
you.
visit, I want ketchup.
Plenty of ketchup.
No, so I have a Tupperware in my fridge in the door, and basically I save like 8 to 10 packets of ketchup. I put a
Okay.
date, and then every 2 years or so I replace them.
I don't even know if they go bad. Like those
just
sealed
to, just
ones.
to be,
I
I
don't
mean,
even know.
I get like a dozen of them every time I order food, so
Yeah.
like, I would have hundreds if I saved them all.
Sure.
So every once in a while, when I have, if I've taken an Adderall, had too much caffeine,
Yeah.
I replace the ketchup.
Okay.
And they're there for guests because if I buy a whole bottle of ketchup, it's going to go bad.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, the
What do
idea
you think
of
about this? Ketchup and mustard in the same bottle.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, that's
good.
interesting.
That's
sir.
interesting, sir. No, what's gross is when you're at a diner and you see the waiters and waitresses refilling the ketchup bottles.
That I've seen. I
Because
was
that's
gonna
what
say, yeah.
they replaced the table ketchup.
Right.
They just combine them.
Yeah.
And so they're all back at the
I
top
mean,
for the next shift. And I don't need to see that. I
Yeah,
don't-
because it's actually not that gross if you think it's just ketchup going in the ketchup.
It's all
but
mixing
exposed
together,
to air.
right?
It's
I see it.
bacteria.
All right, it's fucking nasty, but
Yeah, and ketchup itself is already gross.
No,
And
ketchup's
that's the
delicious.
thing. I just
so
hate
strange.
ketchup.
And then and Lisa's like, "Do you do that with the relish?" And Mars goes, "No, that would be embarrassing."
Well, no, that's not the joke. Is do you do that with relish?
Yeah.
No, that would be embarrassing. You said
What did
with
I
the
say?
you said with the relish.
You remember the Pine Barrens?
Because it's a very very punny joke. Like, do you do that with relish? Like, does she have fun doing it?
Oh, I thought that she was literally asking if you do it with the
No,
relish.
no.
So she's saying, "Do you do it with relish?" And she goes, "She's
And
saying,
Marge is saying,
she goes,
"No, I-"
she's saying, I don't relish."
She
wow.
said no. I'm kind of
Oh,
embarrassed
that went
by
over
it.
my head
Oh
completely.
yeah,
Dan's
I
a lot
loved it.
smarter than us.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
You should be a writer.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Should be a TV
You should be a
writer.
Simpsons
right.
expert of some
well,
sort.
I should host a
No,
trivia night.
I thought the joke was
Yeah,
it's not
okay.
embarrassing to do ketchup, but for whatever reason it's embarrassing
Yeah,
to save
and my
relish.
mind went to you've seen the Pine Barrens episode of Sopranos
Yeah.
where Paulie Walnuts is eating the
Eating the
relish?
packets
Yeah.
That's, oh, the relish! You gotta try the relish, Christopher. You gotta try the fucking relish. And he's like, "You've had this relish the whole time. I'm dying over here."
That's a great
my
episode.
favorite episode.
Good
It's a great
Written
episode.
by Terry Winter, I believe.
That going places.
Yeah, talented guy.
Yeah, directed by Steve Buscemi.
Going
Yes,
places.
yes, also talented.
Also going places.
Going places, these kids.
that 60-year-old character
I
actor.
don't know
He's
if
going
you've
places.
ever heard of this show, The Sopranos. I think you should check it out. It's
Check it
not
out.
bad.
Yeah,
Also mob related.
also mob related.
That's true.
A lot of mob shows out there, Frank. Good luck selling your
Yeah,
script.
all right, I quit.
So then we're back at the school, and there's a scene where this was kind of strange to me, where Nelson and Milhouse just start wailing on each other with their lunch boxes.
I don't know what that was.
They're creating a distraction, but it was just—is that the thing that kids do? Because then all the kids are just like,
Well,
box
do
fight.
kids even have lunch boxes anymore? I really
don't
don't
know. I have no idea.
I haven't seen a kid in years.
Now
I
they just
live-
have
I live in
apps.
Williamsburg, so I don't know where the fuck kids are these days.
I don't know what kids
But-
do.
They might have lunch boxes. I don't know.
They must. Unless they have like an app for it.
They have
trying to
lunch
think
cubes now. Then there is so we see Milhouse and Nelson. They had created a distraction. Bart and Donnie go in and they break into the teacher's lounge. And then there's kind of a fun montage to the Dropkick Murphys song. I'm shipping out to Boston from The Departed.
Fucking hate that song.
It's a very overplayed song. They play it 3 times in this episode. There's
Well,
2 montages and over the closing
I've
credits.
never been to Boston, but I just imagine when you see the sign coming into Boston, the song just starts
Just
playing
start
everywhere.
no matter where you
And
are.
everyone's an obnoxious Red Sox fan.
I like the song. It's catchy.
I like the song, and Boston's okay. The people are not great.
Knowing the
The
city-
town is fine.
No offense to anyone from Boston.
knowing the Simpsons.
Come at us, Beantown.
Knowing the Simpsons.
Meanwhile, I'll probably love it
knowing
there.
post-classic episodes. Maybe if this was another song, they probably would have still done it 2 or 3 times. But I was wondering if this was an actual reference to The Departed, because in The Departed they used the Dropkick Murphys song multiple times throughout the
Yeah,
movie.
that's true.
They use
Yeah.
it at least twice. Maybe 3 times, but they definitely use it at the beginning of the movie, and then
Yeah.
they use it randomly again when they're driving towards where ultimately Jack Nicholson is killed.
Well, I'll say this: it basically is the theme of the movie.
laundry.
You better get organized, quick!
You better get organized.
What's the smoke line? Smoke is coming out. We used to say it all the time. It was in the trailer.
Oh, you gotta smoke them out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, fucking dying here. That's Reservoir Dogs. He says,
fucking
he says,
dying.
"Oh no,
That's-
you
yeah.
gonna chop me up and feed me
Feed
to
me
the poor."
That
Oh,
was,
yeah,
that was the big
I
That's
used
the
to quote
line.
that one, too.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
DiCaprio loves his Boston accent. They all do. They all
Yeah.
love their Boston accents.
It's a fun accent to do.
I think that was in the trailer, too, that line. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
I
want
would-
to
I
chop
would
me
quote
up and
it.
feed me to the poor? Is that what you want?
Where's my Oscar?
The socks are playing. Oh, he's back.
No, it's a vampire. It's a
Oh,
Dracula.
okay, good.
is that What's Eating Gilbert Grape reference?
Oh boy.
The stupid Sling Blade app on the Fritz again.
It's Fritzen. Yeah, so the montage is fun. I mean, there were a lot of fun things in it that I liked, where Skinner gets the upper hand on Bart, and Bart doesn't know why. The one that really sticks out is Bart goes to Xerox his butt on the copy machine, and he presses copy, and it opens a secret door and revolves him into the first grade art
Yeah,
classroom.
where they do nude painting, where they do draw nudes.
Yeah, so he's just standing there with his pants down while a bunch of children look
A
at
bunch
him.
of 5-year-olds.
That's why that stood out to me.
That stood out for me. I was thinking of the
Indiana
Phil Hartman.
Jones?
No,
Oh.
Phil Hartman sketch. But can it copy your ass?
Oh, yeah.
The ass jet.
That's,
Yeah,
that's-
that was Will
that's
Ferrell. Yeah,
Will
yeah,
Ferrell.
Oh, Will Ferrell. Sorry. Yeah.
The
Will
ass
Ferrell.
jet.
Copy your
The
ass.
ass jet.
It leaves for a
Yeah.
very big ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it reminded me of Last Crusade, where the room is on fire and they're in the fireplace and it turns around.
Oh, yeah.
and that
Yeah, yeah.
Nazi woman just turns and
Yeah.
smiles.
That's great.
They just turn
That's
around.
just fucking great, and it just keeps going around.
What a great
it's
movie.
Great movie, the best
Love
of
it.
the Indiana Jones movies.
Then there's this scene of Willie and Skinner playing basketball.
Yes.
which was kind of funny. He's forcing Willie to play basketball against him and keeps giving him fouls so that he can continue
This made
to play.
me remind. This
I like that.
made me realize that. I've always said, who's my favorite non-Simpsons character? I used to always be Wiggum. It used to be Moe, and now I think it might be Wiggum because Moe is a little too rapey sometimes. But it's Moe and Wiggum were always the top two.
Yeah.
And now I always thought Burns was my number 3, but now I'm realizing it's Skinner. Skinner is just such a
Skinner's good. Burns is my favorite though.
Skinner's just so consistently
Moe's
hilarious.
my favorite,
Yeah,
I think.
and like when he's dribbling the ball and he's like doing his own sports casting, like when you're playing baseball, basketball, and you do your own sports casting, he was just like Skinner dribbles the ball, he bounces the ball in a dribbling like motion, he continues to bounce it, he starts to walk towards the net. Like that was such a Skinner.
Yeah.
Skinner's one of the most fully realized characters on the show. Like every Skinner line is a Skinner line.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's a scene where Willie turns on Skinner, and we find out at the end of the episode that Willie's a double agent.
No.
But I thought
Triple agent?
I thought maybe it was the basketball scene was kind of a setup, like that's why he wants to bring Skinner down, and he's giving information to Bart.
Right.
And I applauded the effort for actually like trying something like that.
Right.
But the only reason for the basketball was so
I was
that
thinking of
his
the-
stuff would be in the locker, and that's why Bart was able to switch out the shoes.
Yeah, you're right. So Willie turns on Skinner and gives Bart information that there's a mole in his crew, which if you think about it, if Willie's working for Skinner, why does Willie tell him that? Just to get Bart paranoid and crazy?
They needed Bart to know to take Topher Grace to the warehouse so they could set up Bart torturing.
It's a little complicated, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
doesn't
Almost
quite
as
make sense.
complicated as The Departed.
Yeah.
But not almost, but not quite.
Right.
About that 6-second montage. I like the montage itself, but the song started out of nowhere. Like they picked a very weird part of the song to jump in on. I noticed instead of like fading in with it with the catchy riff, it was just
drop-
like
Yeah.
So it's just like. It's like Bart's like walking down the hall, and all of a sudden, just it goes, "I'm shipping up the ball."
Yeah.
But again, I think that's how it was in the Departed.
No, the Departed
It's
it
just
fades
always
up when he's
fucking playing.
It starts fading up when they're like at the client. There's like a 20-minute opening intro to Departed where they're jumping
Well,
back
they
and forth.
open with Rolling Stone, "Give Me Shelter," right?
Which I was surprised
Yeah.
was not in this, but because it cost
Well, that-
$750,000,
yeah, at least,
Yeah, it's a pricey one.
Yeah, but that would have been
Yeah.
funny if there
we
was
could
a
just
Gimme
play
Shelter.
it on the side on our own.
Yeah,
while we watch the episode.
Yeah, but we're not playing on this podcast
Nope,
because
No.
we just shy of that. We made we
right.
made $749,000 in Sync
Yeah,
Points.
we need to use that.
in Sync Points Home Alone 2 money.
Absolutely. So then there's a second montage with the Dropkick Murphy song where Bart's chasing a kid in a baseball cap. He can't tell who it is. It's really just a straightforward parody.
Chinatown parody.
Yeah.
Not
And
Chinatown parody, a parody of the Chinatown scene
in The Departed.
Which I like. That was one of the very few things that was like directly taken out of the Departed that I liked. So I was like, oh, they did a good Simpsonized version of The Departed here.
They did, and it ends up leading Bart to get his tetanus shot or a measles shot or something. So Skinner has basically been orchestrating this whole thing.
Skinner's on top of his game here.
Yeah. And I love these like cat and mouse kind of things. So I really liked this whole act, this whole setup. And then it turns out Bart is like, okay, there's a rat in my crew. It's either my trusted friend, I forget what he says for Nelson, or the new guy. So it must be Milhouse.
Yeah, or the kid I just met.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's a great line where so they stuff Milhouse into this locker in the middle of this field. And
Let's talk about this.
Yeah, and there's a great line that Milhouse has, one of my favorite lines of the episode, where he goes, "No, I like being in your shadow. It's nice and cool."
Yeah, that was good. They've stuffed Milhouse in a locker, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll come back and get him in a few hours." Fucked up thing to do. That's kind of a fucked up thing to do.
That's no different than stuffing
in a locker.
somebody in a locker.
I
Yeah.
guess.
I'm
But in the middle of
bottom of the
nowhere.
totem
Have you guys?
pole.
That's another thing. Have you seen someone stuffed in a locker in school
Our
growing up?
lockers,
our lockers
were
were very thin.
notoriously like
Yeah.
to save money. Our high school gave us like extra narrow to the point where we couldn't even put our books in. You remember? We had to put our books in at a 45-degree angle because there was horizontally or vertically it didn't fit. We had the
geez.
worst lockers, and
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
And the locks didn't work, so you weren't allowed to use half your locker. There was a top half and a bottom half.
Right.
Because if you used your top half, your stuff would be stolen.
Yeah, the top half was easily you just hit it and it would open.
Yeah,
That's,
like the fonts.
Great lockers.
Brings up another recurring nightmare I have where I go back to school and I don't remember my locker code.
Yeah,
Which I've heard
oh,
is a
man.
pretty common sort of dream.
I don't
you know?
remember
Have
my
you-
locker
I would
code
never
from high
in a
school
million
now.
years
No, I have
remember
no
it,
idea.
yeah.
I mean, I had so many different ones, but
Yeah.
I forget my. You ever use the same password every day for your phone or when
Oh,
you
yeah,
log
and
in
you
at work or
forget.
something and you just forget?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It's bad.
Getting old.
so many a password for every fucking thing you do now.
It's
I have
1, 2.
two. That's what I want to use for my password.
Might
but-
as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Where are we
That's
now?
our password podcast.
Password. Oh, yeah. So Milhouse. So they lock Milhouse in this locker in the middle of nowhere, and then Cletus comes in, and he's just like, oh, that looks like an outhouse from the future. Cletus gets inside the locker. Milhouse is in there and says, someone's in here, and he goes, be quiet, robot toilet. And then I guess shits on
Robo
Milhouse.
potty. Yeah, does he shit
Well,
on
then
him?
Milhouse goes, okay, and
Yeah.
lets him shit on him.
That
Yeah.
was weird.
Or
Yeah.
he's molesting him. I mean,
it could just be touching him.
It could just be touching him.
Which one's worse?
I don't know.
Molesting,
It's the
probably.
molesting.
The shitting on is pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
For the kid, it's probably just as traumatizing.
Yeah.
Some people
if-
are into that.
Well, if you're
getting shit on.
if you're molested,
That would probably make Milhouse into it for the rest of his life.
I was gonna say, if you're molested, it screws
Scarred
up your
for life.
sexual life as an adult. Maybe he'd be afraid to poop.
There's a weird
If somebody-
undercurrent of hillbillies doing strange sexual things in this episode.
and in life.
In life,
life,
too.
too.
All right, so we get to the kind of the last act here. Bart has an ostrich egg that he wants to egg Skinner's house with. And I thought that was funny. It doesn't really go anywhere. I guess it's not the real prank.
We never saw that, right? I don't remember.
Well, he like
seeing-
holds up the ostrich
No,
egg.
I mean, but the egg getting cracked, we don't see the
No,
yolk.
no,
I was
no.
actually
I
looking
guess-
forward to that.
well, I guess
seeing
this
how
is-
much yolk was going to go.
I'm guessing this is the big operation that they have to stop in time.
Right.
Well, but it's not because that ends up being a fake.
yeah, you're right,
Because
the
he
Mentos.
thinks there's still a mole. The real plan is
that's true,
to combine
yeah.
the Mentos with
That's
the Diet
true.
Coke and blow up Skinner's office.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I like you, Frank. I was waiting for a scene where we're going to see the ostrich egg like hit Skinner or something like
Yeah.
that. We don't get it. Deprived.
Mother, no. Oh. With the rancid coleslaw.
Oh, yeah.
Don't look out the window. And then I don't know. We're pretty much at the end, so we can just jump right to the last scenes.
I thought this was actually very smart, and we're always complaining how they never set anything up in these later episodes, and they
Yeah.
do set this up nice. Basically, Bart figures out that Donnie is the mole because the blue he's the only one he gave blue vines to early in the episode.
Right,
and
it's
then
the citizens folder from The Departed.
Yeah, and then he sees Skinner with the blue tongue, which
Yeah.
means I guess Donnie gave him a blue vine.
Right.
I guess.
Very
yeah.
nice of Donnie to do.
Yeah.
And that's how he realizes Donnie's the mole.
Here's another fucked
That was
up.
very clever.
It was very clever. And here's another fucked up thing in the episode. We see kind of Donnie's backstory, which is literally Skinner and Chalmers went to the orphanage and got a kid just for this.
Yeah, kind of well like The
And now
Departed.
he becomes a drifter, and he's just he's out on the road now.
I love the visual of
Two
him.
Siamese was my favorite. Two Siamese. Did he say it twice?
He
Two
did
for
say it
each?
twice, yeah.
Two Siamese. Two
Two
Siamese.
Yeah.
I love the visual of Donnie was using as a hanging punching bag. He was using a
Ah, yeah.
beehive, and he's just
Yeah.
like punching this beehive. That
yeah,
was a fun
pretty
visual.
Good. That was fun.
Yeah, no, I guess it is kind of messed up. They got an orphan, but it's tying into the
It
whole
was dark.
Departed thing.
It was dark.
You probably switch accents when you come home from the weekends. You do, you son of a bitch. You do, huh? You
You're
fucking
dropping your
cunt.
Oz.
You fucking cunt. Yeah, you are. That's Mark Wahlberg got an Oscar nomination for that, for saying you fucking cunt over and over.
I mean, Mark Wahlberg was great in that movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think he was deserved.
I'm the guy who did my job. You must be the,
The
other
other
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie if you've never seen The Departed. But here we go with.
He's better in The Happening. Mark Wahlberg.
What?
What?
No.
No, I'm a
What's The Happening?
science
I don't
teacher.
even-
The
I've
M.
never
Night
seen
Shyamalan
that.
movie.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
With the
okay.
plants.
That's right.
I think it's the trees.
What happened with the bees? We're gonna do some science, guys.
What
That's pretty good.
Funny,
What's happening?
funny thing about hot dogs, they're funny shape, full of protein.
Is that Mark Wahlberg?
No, that's just a random scene in the middle of everybody dying.
Oh, yeah.
Guy comes and just starts talking about hot dogs.
Yeah, what a strange movie The Happening is. Anyway,
He has a new movie coming out, right?
Split.
M. Night?
it's out already.
Supposed to
Split.
be pretty
I saw
good.
it. It's good.
Is it good?
I
If
hear
you don't
good
know
things.
what the end is, I will not spoil it for you, but it will be spoiled
Does
for
he
you.
see ghosts? Is it?
I'm not going to tell you, but it's pretty good.
Bruce Willis dead?
I'm not going to tell
Okay.
you.
Water is his kryptonite.
I'm not going to tell you.
All right, I do need to go see it.
You really should, especially if you haven't had the end spoiled.
I haven't.
This goes for listeners
They're
as
all
well.
one guy. It's Primal Fear.
Especially if you like M. Night Shyamalan and want him to be back.
He advertises on this show, correct?
Yes,
M. Night
he's our,
Shyamalan?
he's
Yeah.
our
Right,
biggest
okay.
sponsor.
All
And
right.
James McAvoy is a huge fan. So,
There we go. We just got all our bases.
yep.
Yeah, so they realize that he's the mole, and Bart takes him to. Oh, this was another complaint I had when I really thought that the episode should have been more stylized. You're doing a Scorsese parody, and Scorsese is one of the most stylized directors there are.
Yeah.
My favorite director, probably yours, right?
Yeah.
And I thought they should have took more advantage of this, like the scene where Willie rats out. Willie tells Bart that there's a mole earlier, we talked about
Yeah.
it, and it's just like it's a wide two shot of them out in the open in the schoolyard.
Yeah.
There's nothing genre about it at all. And I was like, why didn't they do more? Like, why wouldn't he take him down in the basement where there's pipes, like leaky, steamy pipes?
Right, make it a little more
Make it more
Scorsese.
noir, make it more Scorsese,
good
make it more
point.
genre. And they finally do this in the
Do-do.
in the they bring him to the Springfield Elementary storage warehouse.
Yeah.
Because all these things always happen in warehouses. And I was like, why wasn't there more of that throughout the whole episode?
Yeah.
I guess they were building up to it in the climax, but
Yeah.
I think you're right. They could have done a lot more.
So they take him to the warehouse, and basically Bart says, "I know you're the rat, and this is what we do to rats." And basically they're gonna combine Mentos and Diet Coke, which fizzes slightly in real life, but in here in The Simpsons, it's this.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's because it's a
Yeah.
cartoon. News to Dan, and
What?
and also what? Beware the bees.
What?
You son of a bitch. You lied.
The Chris Farley.
Yeah.
This is actually Taster's Choice coffee.
This is Columbia decaffeinated crystals. What?
That is a great skit.
That face. Oh, priceless.
I may have overreacted. No, so
How do you,
but
how
also,
do you feel? Angry.
but yeah, tying into this whole
He's going
the
places too,
Chris
by the
Farley,
way.
yeah,
Yeah, talented guy.
Outworms butts because
Oh no, I don't want to think about that.
and they're eating them and pooping them out as nice dirt.
All right, let's finish the damn episode.
So yeah, no. As keeping in with this whole the kids as mob theme, this is a great way to torture somebody. But this is something kids would do: is combine Mentos and soda. Do have to mention it's weird that they specifically say
Yes.
Mentos and Diet Coke,
And we see it, and it's
And
printed
Diet-
Mentos
yeah.
and Diet
and,
Coke.
and not only
It's
do they Palport, Cosmic Wars, everything, they actually have had for the entire run of the show a Springfield Palport of Coke already.
Right,
Buzz Cola.
Buzz Cola,
So why
right.
not make it Buzz and Mentos? Or,
Yeah, or Buzz and Blentos.
Yeah. People Toast?
People toes.
That sounds like a Cosmic
Women
Wars way
toes.
they would do it. Women fingers.
Oh, hey now.
So is
I
that
don't
is that a plug
Women
for
fingers,
Mentos?
men
though?
stroke.
Lady fingers.
Like,
What?
is that a plug for Mentos? Do you think
Oh,
that?
you sound like
Mentos
Dan. You sound
pays
like
it?
Dan.
Maybe it's some product placement.
Product
we don't
placement?
know. We don't know.
Why not?
Dan's a big conspiracy theorist when it comes to.
I think there's product
I
placement
don't know if
everywhere.
that's a conspiracy. I mean, they do it all the time. How do you think they pay for these
We got
budgets?
it on air. It's happening all the time.
Cut this scene out.
One of the elite has told us.
one of us is going to die in a car accident next week.
Oh boy.
Mysteriously.
Yeah, so then it's revealed Bart says, Willie told me there was a rat, and he knew it was Donnie. And then Willie comes out and says, I was also a rat. And it turns out Skinner and Chalmers are all there. And it's just kind of everything's coming to a head.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. It didn't do much for me here.
It was fine. I like that someone said, oh, it's rats within rats. And Willie says, that was my dinner last night. That was gross and funny.
Willie, usually a very strong character.
Willie's usually
Yeah.
very strong. And then,
Yeah, so Donnie just feels bad, and
well, because Skinner says, like, and it was all thanks to Donnie, who ratted out the one boy who ever cared about him.
and again, that's a line that pretty much only Skinner could do. That guy out there agrees. That's a line that only Skinner would really pull off. That's such a Skinner line.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And so Donnie saves the day, and that's kind of it.
Yeah,
I
then,
noticed Chalmers yells Skinner, and the response isn't quick enough. So
Skinner?
Right, and he just goes, Skinner?
He actually got really
because
nervous. Don't do that. Don't do that again.
They thought he
Yeah.
drowned
Yeah.
in the Mentos, and he was actually worried.
Yeah.
That was all right. And then it ends like Frank said. It ends with a rat walking by, like the last
Ralph
shot.
pops out of the garbage and
Yeah.
says, the rat signifies obviousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little on the nose for me.
Well, it was, but in The Departed, I love the movie.
Yeah.
It's a little on the nose to have that
That's
rat going
exactly
by at the
right.
end.
But
It's
it's a
just-
little on the nose, but they pull it off. Whereas here,
I don't know that they pull it off. in The
No, they
Departed.
didn't pull it
I-
off for me. That
but-
was the one part I'm like, come on.
but if you
yeah.
And that's
but
what they're
I don't
doing
know.
here. They're saying, come on, why did
I
you
don't
do
know.
this?
By pointing out that it's on
Even
the nose
Ralph
made it
fucking
2 on
gets
the
it.
nose for me. It was on the double nose for me.
On the double.
I thought it was a nice little.
Nobody knows the
Little
trouble
touch.
I've seen.
Nobody knows. Spaceballs when she sings
Yep,
it.
that's
Yeah,
what I was thinking.
you're right.
Not the actual song.
No.
I just think
Oh,
that's
I
I just know about it
Spaceballs.
from Spaceballs.
Look, new kid, I'm the head hamster in this habit trail. Capiche?
Well, maybe there's a new guinea pig in your cage. Capiche that?
Oh, I capiche. I capiche just fine.
Oh, well, you just keep on capiching.
All right, so that is it for The Departed. Nope. All right, so that is it for The Debarted from season 19. We're going to rank this episode now on our Hippo scale, our patented Hippo scale, looking at the humor, the integrity, the production values, and the originality. So, Jack, kindly put 2 minutes on the clock.
Honk, 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 honk.
And all right, let's get into it. So on a 0 to 5 scale, the humor of this episode, Frank, I'm going to look at you. What are you
3.
thinking?
I'll give it a 3.
A solid 3.
Yeah.
Above average, slight above average.
Yeah.
Jack, what do you got?
I do think that this was a slightly funnier episode than we usually get on the show.
I agree.
Although compared to the bell curve of The Simpsons, I don't think it's above average. I'll give it a 2.5.
Really? I'm thinking 3.5, but maybe I'll go with, no, I'm going to go 3.5. Maybe I'll go down to 3. I mean,
How
I
many
feel
jokes
like,
did you really like?
I feel like I wrote down, usually when I laugh really hard, I write LOL in my notes that we take when
How
we
many
watch.
LOLs do you have?
I have a few LOLs. You want to know how many I got?
Sure.
Oh, you wrote down LOL?
I
wrote laugh.
I had 16 of them, actually.
I wrote
16
ha-ha.
laughs. Oh.
That's not bad. 16 is pretty good for a post-classic.
That actually is good. 3.5.
All right, so the integrity of the episode, what are we thinking? Frank? That's kind of like, are the characters, do they make sense? Like, is the show broken?
How's the emotional
Right,
core
but what's
of
the word
episode?
integrity mean?
EQ,
It just fits the hippo acronym.
which we made for whatever reason.
I give it another 3.
That's a fair one.
Because I think that Jack's right that there should have been more set pieces and the tone could have felt a little more Scorsese-ish.
Yeah.
That was the one thing missing for me. You know, I know that it's not because they had other things going on, so it's not a complete parody or take from Departed. There's a whole fucking story, as you mentioned, about this car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say a 3.
3 is fair. Jack, what do you think?
I'm going to give it a 2. I think they were inconsistent with Bart's character in terms of, is he the cool head of the school mob, or is he this loser that has to keep re-earning everybody's respect? Also, emotionally wise, I would have liked a couple of emotional links for Homer, between Homer and the car, like I said, with like
that's what I'm gonna ding at the
like
most
the
for.
Laddie and Santa Little Helper thing. And I would have liked a little bit more to make me believe that Donnie really did become good friends with Bart and would sacrifice the entire plot to save Bart at the end.
Yeah, you convinced me on the kind of the switch of Bart trying to be cool in the beginning, but then being this cool mob boss. And
What?
the Homer
Why?
and then the Homer plot left a lot to be desired. I'm gonna go with a 3, also just slightly above average. The production values. This is animation, direction, voice acting. Frank, what do you think there?
You guys are putting me on the spot here.
If you want to make Jack, you want to put Jack on the spot?
Jack, go you first.
All right. Here I am on the spot.
Here I am on the spot. The hippo scale.
So I would have liked more. Scorsese is such a visually brilliant director. I would have liked more Scorsese homages. Think again how good Cape Fear is. So I could have liked more, but what there was good. The Chinatown sequence was very good. Even the 6-second montage, as awkwardly as it started, it was one of the more successful montages we've covered. Some of the car jokes were fine. The voice act, Topher Grace did a completely acceptable job.
We didn't
voice
talk
acting.
about Topher Grace at all. I like Topher Grace. Yeah, I thought he was good here.
They didn't
give him too much.
It was fine.
Yeah, he wasn't terrible. Like
Yeah, it
he
was
was
fine.
like he was exactly average.
Yeah.
Why didn't they get Leo DiCaprio? What's he?
He probably
is
said
busy?
no. He
Does he
says-
work on other projects?
No, I don't. I think he's just sitting around with models.
He demanded to do a Boston accent, and they said no, and he walked.
They wanted to chop him up and feed him to the poor.
Chop me up and feed me to the poor.
He didn't like that.
But I liked a lot of great Skinner deliveries by Harry Shearer. What did I put? I either put a 3 or a 3.5. I could go either way. I guess I'll put a 3.5.
I'm a little surprised because I was going to say 2.5. I'm going to go right down the middle for pretty much all the reasons that you gave. Just everything was good but not great and just kind of average.
Yeah.
I'll just go to 2.
All
I'll
right.
go to 2 on that one.
I could
Go
go
with a
back down to
2.
3. Originality is how original is this? It's not. It's a parody. So that's a half point off there. But originality also is story structure. Did Act 1 set up Act 3? Stuff like that. What do you think, Frank?
I give it a 3.
Okay. No explanation
No
necessary. That's
explanation.
fine. We're running along.
Dan?
I don't know. I liked this episode a lot. Like I really liked what they did with it. You pointed out some problems that I didn't see at first. So I'll ding it a little bit for that. But I think I might go 3.5 on originality.
Yeah, my big problem with the Act 1, the disconnect between the Act 1 Bart, I guess I already dinged in integrity. So it's not really a story as much as a character problem. The B plot really was so pointless. I wish they could have tied it in somehow to this actual story where Bart escapes in the car. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
The story itself, besides the actual,
It was a fun story, and I thought it was done well. There
Yeah.
were setups, there were payoffs. I liked it.
I guess I'll give points. But this probably should also have been integrity. But I'll give points. I really did love the idea of the the pranksters as a mob conceit. I thought that was cute. So I'll go 3.
Like, were you going to say something else?
I was thinking
I'll
about
go 3.
I was thinking about saying 0.5 and then decided
His Sling Blade app just fucked up again.
I thought it was above average.
All right, so we have crunched our numbers, and The Debarted from season 19 has ranked as a slightly better episode than Treehouse of Horror 25, which I have no idea what episode that is, and a slightly worse episode than Worst Episode Ever, our namesake. That puts it at number 75 on our current list, which is pretty good. That's definitely the top quarter of our
Is
good
worst
episodes.
episode ever where the
Comic
comic book
book
guy
guy-
says worst episode?
No, that's the Chin
Poochie.
Scratchy and Poochie.
It's where he
Say
has
this.
sex with Skinner's mother.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
and
that's
it's
right.
surprisingly funny.
Yeah.
Not the sex, but the whole episode.
No, this I would say as a whole, this episode was completely inoffensive.
I like this episode more than you did, and
You weren't
yeah.
offended when what's his name? Cletus went into the bathroom in Millhouse. Either molested or shitted on him. I mean,
Oh,
that's
boy.
So
somewhat
I
offensive.
may
We'll
or
never
may
know.
it depends. I was
And the Hicks
it's
having sex with the
it's,
car, nothing?
It's Schrodinger's cat. I either was or wasn't offended.
There you go. We'll find out one day. But that's going to do it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. If you have an episode you want to suggest, you can do that on our website, which is weepodcast.com, weepodcast.com. And while you're there, suggest an episode, but you can also get old episodes of this show. You can get our other show, which is 90s Percentile, our Sync Points movie commentaries, and all the fun stuff that we're doing. Links to everything are on there. Our Reddit, our newsletter you can sign up for, which is a lot of fun. Just go to weepodcast.com and check it out a little bit. You might like it.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt to try.
It doesn't have to try, you
assholes.
fucking idiots.
I'll have to check it out. Where can I find it?
It's
you just told me.
weepodcast.com.
Oh, right,
Yeah. Also, do we call our listeners fucking idiots on this podcast?
No, we can edit that out.
So, because I know 90s Percentile has a smaller market share, so I wonder
It's
if
true.
Did you say you fucking idiot?
So yeah, I have a feeling like 9/10 of our audience just now is just,
Just like, I'm appalled.
why would you call me a fucking idiot? I support your
I
show.
listened to this whole episode.
By the way, all of our fans
I
obviously
just thought
talk
of
with that.
Yeah.
in Curb. How am I supposed to eat this? Portico? Fucking idiot. How am I supposed to eat this? He's got his thumbs all casted. You fucking idiot.
And if you're not an idiot, you can go to amazon.wepodcast.com and support the show by shopping on Amazon through our link, and that helps keeps the show free. And next time, we're going to be back with another episode. We're doing an episode from what season is it from? From season 13, called Sweet and Sour Marge.
Oh, sounds something related to Chinese food, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. And if you're in the Brooklyn area, you should come to Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia. I co-host that with friend of the show, Dan Ozzie, first Thursday of every month at the King's Beer Hall in Brooklyn. If you're listening to this the day it comes out today, it is our annual Diorama Rama Night. It's going to be awesome, so check that out. Google Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia for more about that.
Even though 99% of you listening to this have already missed it, but it was a good time.
It was a great
we
time.
Assume.
There's probably pictures on our Reddit, so you should check
Was
that
I
out.
there? I don't
We don't
remember.
know.
I don't know. We'll
It's-
find
it's
out.
It's Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
You either were there or you weren't.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to thank Frank for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
And so where can we find? Do you want people to follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, just at Frank Pasquine, and
keep an
I
eye
won't
out.
spell that
Yeah.
for you. Just find it.
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes.
And
Okay.
keep an eye out for your pilot with Armando Sate.
Right,
and,
if it gets picked up, sure.
yeah,
Keep an
so
eye
keep,
out.
keep an eye out eventually.
Or if you're a network executive, definitely
Yeah,
keep an eye
definitely.
out.
Then buy it.
Please ignore all the constant TV criticism we do on this
I
show.
love you, Hollywood. I love you.
We love Hollywood
See you
money.
next week.
And so Frank, as one of our earliest supporters, as we established, and as I'm sure you're one of our biggest fans, you know how we end every episode. How do we do it? Let us know right now with our key phrase that we end the episodes with.
What?
No, that's it.
What?
Driver of a loaner car, much better than a driver of my normal car.
Whoa, fancy wheels. What song does the horn play?
None.
Classy.